No, of course, we're talking about real television commercials. The wholesome kind from the 80s and the 90s. The kind that would hit you with a jingle that would live in your head for decades. Hey everyone, my name is Perry, and welcome back to the Cassette Phase. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about something that brings those warm, fuzzy memories almost unlike anything else can. It's a different and a unique kind of feel that we're talking about here today. Because we've talked a lot about movies and cartoons and TV shows here on this channel. But what about that consistent bridge that joined all of these things together? So let's talk about commercials. And I mean real TV commercials, not ads, right? There's a difference. We're not talking about those cold, algorithm-fed advertisements that come at us from all directions and that we can't wait to skip. No, of course, we're talking about real television commercials. The wholesome kind from the 80s and the 90s. The kind that would hit you with a jingle that would live in your head for decades. And while it's going to be tough, I'm going to do my best to come up with a top 10 most nostalgic television commercials list. And because there are just so many of them, I'm going to try to stick with a very specific vibe today, a real specific feel. So you're not going to see any action-packed toy commercials today, no Crossfire board game or G.I. Joe or Transformers commercials. We'll save that stuff for a future video. Today, I'm going for the types of commercials that immediately transport you back, back to a comfortable and a simple time. You'll probably hear the word jingle a lot today. You'll also hear a lot of me saying wholesome and warm. I think I've already said both those words at least once, so you see what I mean. Because honestly, I didn't really mind commercials as a kid. They were just kind of part of the program that I was watching. And in some cases, they were actually better than the show in some ways. So let's talk about it. Let's watch some clips and listen to some jingles. And let's go over to the Ottoman and talk about our cassette of the day, like we always do. Let's just take some time to rewind. If that's something that you enjoy doing from time to time, then be sure to subscribe. But right after that, come hang out. Okay everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman, and welcome to another great day here in the den. Over on the TV today, of course, I've got some commercial compilations going. What else? I've had those going in the background all day while I thought about today's video and my top 10 list. But before we get into that list, we of course have to do our cassette of the day. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, it's tempting to start slipping into like Halloween and early fall types of vibes. Some of my fellow nostalgic YouTubers have already started going down that path, which is awesome. I think we're coming into the best time of the year once that stuff starts up. But here in Texas, it takes forever to get to actual fall. Usually by the time the temperature actually cools off, it's actually like, November at that point. So for that reason, I'm trying to prolong summer as long as I can and continue to be excited about the summertime and the nostalgic feelings that we had as kids during the summers. And that's kind of what inspired today's cassette of the day, which is a VHS tape for an animated movie from 1992. We've got Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Vacation, which I've also seen this titled How I Spent My Summer Vacation. I don't know if that's correct or not, but it just makes me think of summertime. I always felt like Tiny Toons was kind of a summery type of show. I don't know if I watched it more in the summer or if it was just kind of the aesthetic and the colors. I don't know, but This is cool. And I looked at, I read about this just a little bit briefly before I sat down to record today, and apparently this was the first ever feature-length animated film to be released direct to video in the United States anyway, which is kind of interesting. I thought there would have been plenty of those before 1992, but there you go. And this tape is just how I like it, beat up, worn out, a little rough around the edges. But yeah, this is a fun one to watch. Now, I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. You could probably find it on YouTube or something if you haven't seen it in a while. They did divide this up and just air it as regular Tiny Toon Adventures cartoons. Like they just did a 4-part, on back-to-back days, which was essentially this movie. They did a lot of that back then with Heathcliff and some of the others, but I don't know. I just think it's a cool tape. This is one that doesn't play the best. Anytime I put this one in, I can't ever quite get the tracking just right, which is a shame, but unfortunately, when we're fans of this type of technology, it does not last forever. We do what we can to preserve it, but yeah, it eventually starts to go, which could be said for a lot of things. But yeah, Amblin Entertainment with Steven Spielberg as executive producer on this one. Cool old tape. Super nostalgic cartoon for any time of year, but especially in the summer. Tiny Toon Adventures, how I spent my vacation. Okay, so I think the best way to go about this today, I've got my iPad here, so I'm just gonna open up YouTube and pull up the video that I'm talking about, and then I'll do some picture-in-picture or some cutaway video. That way, you all can watch these commercials right along with me. And then I'm going to put the links to each video in the description as well. So with all of that said, let's get started. All right, so I've got it queued up here. And these are going to be in order, I think, for the most part. Countdown 10 to 1. Most nostalgic commercials from the 80s and the 90s, in my opinion, of course. So this first one here, one of the best jingles, I think, from the 80s. And this is probably early 80s, early to mid 80s. Just memorable, great scenery, just heartwarming melodies on this, on the song that they use here. And what we've got at number 10 is All the World Loves M&Ms. Let's take a look.
Done at last. Well, geez, how about some M&Ms? Hi, kids. Wow.
Where M&M's chocolate candies go, there's bound to be some fun, It's a bright and colorful wonderland. All the world loves M&M's. Pure milk chocolate joy for everyone.
M&M's chocolate candies. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand. See you later.
I mean, how great was that, honestly? I just have so many memories of that commercial for whatever reason. I can remember that specific bedroom and that computer monitor, and the way that the M&Ms are showering and getting their candy coating put on, their coloring. It all just comes immediately back to me when I watch that. And the song, so good. I think that's a really, really solid entry for number 10. But yeah, let's keep going. Okay, so for number 9, I think we've got a commercial that has spanned over the decades. I think it may have started in the 70s or the 80s and then continued on. I know a version of this commercial was still around in the 90s and even into the 2000s, I believe. And it's kind of generic, the product that is, but the great, great jingle, the song, that's going to be a theme in a lot of these choices is, does the song and the imagery take me back to that very specific time and place? And couldn't be more true about number 9 on the list here. We've got from 1992, Cotton, The Fabric of Our Lives.
With trusting eyes, the children show, minds open, hearts true, our spirits grow, the touch, the feel, the fabric of our lives, the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Wow, I mean, we're promoting a product here that I don't know, they're talking about the shirts that we wear and the blankets and the towels that we use being made out of cotton, but it just looks and sounds so wholesome and so carefree and so innocent. I don't know, there's just something about it. I feel like this is one of those commercials that's been with me most of my life in various iterations. I think this version was that Aaron Neville singing on that one? I think it was, but yeah, super wholesome right there. I think that's a good placement on the list, coming in at number 9. The touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives. So coming in at number 8, I could have chosen any one of a wide variety of commercials from this particular company. But the one that I landed on, I think, just feels the most nostalgic. And it's a Nabisco commercial for Nilla wafers. And you're going to hear one of my favorite things ever, one of my favorite sounds ever from childhood, that little Nabisco ding at the end of the commercial. Check it out.
Concerned mother? You better believe it. We spend time together. Right now, we're having a snack with Nilla wafers. They're Nabisco, and I like that. And she loves them, don't you?
Yeah.
No fudge, no fluff. Just simple goodness I can feel good about. Only the best for her. You know?
Yeah.
Nabisco Nilla wafers. Simple goodness you can feel good about.
Nabisco.
Yeah, simple goodness. Exactly. I think that sums it up perfectly. You know, I feel like we all saw various Nabisco commercials growing up all throughout childhood. This one particularly resonated with me, and that's why it's number 8 on the list. Now, coming in at number 7, some of you may be a little bit surprised. Not that this is on the list, I'm sure you already predicted that it was going to be here, but the fact that it's not higher, you know, it's only number 7, which just goes to show how great I think this list is going to be. But number 7 is the Pizza Hut baseball commercial that came on at the beginning of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie VHS cassette tape. You know the one, you've probably all seen it, you probably all have the song memorized. It's great, it's got heart, it's got humor. You know I'm all about both of those things here. It's got some brief but really cool images and shots of the interior of an old 1990 Pizza Hut, which, how amazing is that? I know you've seen it probably a million times, but we're gonna go ahead and watch most of it here. Number 7.
Off in the distance, the game's dragging on. There's strikes on the batter, some runners are on. And a baseball falls into my glove. I play right field. It's important you know. You gotta know how to catch. You gotta know how to throw way out where the dandelions grow.
As a proud sponsor of Little League Baseball, Pizza Hut welcomes all the kids who make it great.
Making it great.
Yeah, I don't know if Pizza Hut ever improved on that making it great jingle there at the end. You know, they went back to their old logo here in recent years, which I think was a great move. Bring us back some making it great commercials if you haven't already, Pizza Hut. Seriously, but I love that commercial. Was that the kid from Mighty Ducks that was playing catcher there on the team? I think it might have been. Yeah, probably the commercial that I've seen the most times out of anything on this list, just because it was on the beginning of that VHS tape that we all watched a million times. Did they ever air this anywhere else? I don't remember ever seeing it on TV. Maybe it just lived on that VHS tape. I don't know, you guys can let me know. But really solid there at number 7 with that great old Little League Baseball Pizza Hut commercial. All right, so we've made it to number 6. And you knew that there had to be a McDonald's commercial somewhere on this countdown. You know, when I first sat down to do this, I knew McDonald's was going to have to be included and represented in some way, shape, or form. A lot of their commercials are really fun and kind of like, you know, kiddie. Like, I don't know, sometimes they focus on whatever the Happy Meal toy is for that particular month. But I'm going with a heartfelt, sentimental choice here, which this whole list is kind of like that if you haven't figured that out already. And they had a lot like that, like the one I'm talking about. They had several of those over the years. And We're not going to do any of the holiday-themed ones today. We're going to save those for upcoming commercial countdown lists for Halloween and Christmas time, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, number 6 from 1987, we've got McDonald's commercial, Hard-Nosed Mrs. Hatcher. Check it out.
Hard-nosed Mrs. Hatcher, tough as you can get.
Today we'll be reading chapters 3, 4.
You could never win her over.
Thanks, Judith. I'll do them.
Mrs. Hatcher had no pets. Forget the excuses, there's no way to reach her.
My homework flew out the bus window. I didn't do it.
Our only break was a substitute teacher.
In Mrs. Hatcher's absence, there will be no test.
When things got rough,
I'll never get it.
she made us stick to it.
She pushed.
I got it.
And pushed.
I knew you could do it.
This with DLT, fries, and cocoa from your 3rd grade class. Hard-nosed Mrs. Hatcher. It's been a year since we met you. And what we wanted to say is,
We'll never forget you.
Now, if that doesn't sock you right in the nostalgic feels, I don't know what will. I mean, so many cool things in that little commercial. You know, I feel like I just watched like an episode of a TV show or like a miniature movie. You don't see stuff like that anymore. You just don't. We got some interior shots of an old McDonald's and some great, a couple quick little views of some of the old McDonald's cups. Just so cool, heartfelt, nostalgic, sentimental. You know, good for you, Hard-Nosed Mrs. Hatcher, coming in at number 6 on the countdown. All right, so we've entered the top 5, so you know these have to be good. And it's gonna be hard to top that last one, but this is just one that the jingle has stuck with me for decade after decade. Like, I'll just find myself humming this randomly. And it's also one of these commercials where you get some live action shots of like the mom and the kid, and then it transitions into the animated version. You know, it goes from live action to cartoon and then back. I always thought that was cool. It reminded me of like Sesame Street and some of those things that we used to watch. But this is for Campbell's Soup, and we've got the "What Kind of Campbell's Kid Are You" commercial.
After these messages, we'll be right back. What kind of Campbell's kid are you? Here we go on the run, busy having some fun. Love to spin and twirl, do the curling of the world. What kind of Campbell's kid are you? You can play with the stars, kick around some lows, 'cause Campbell's soup's are good. So what kind of Campbell's kid are you?
How good was that? And we even got a little bonus after these messages. We'll be right back on the front end of that clip. I love it. I know that some of these clips are grainy and not the best quality, but we're working with what we have available to us, and I think you can still kind of get the feel and the vibe, even if the quality isn't the best. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. I think I remember seeing that one a lot during Saturday morning cartoons, and maybe that's why it's stuck with me so long. But yeah, Campbell's makes me want to go have a good hot bowl of chicken noodle soup or something like that, you know. What kind of Campbell's kid are you? Love that one. Number 5. So coming in at number 4, we've got a little bit of a curveball here, at least I think so. Because this commercial came from not my after-school cartoons and not from watching Saturday morning cartoons or anything like that. This was a commercial that came on while I was watching sports, usually with my dad. You know, watching a baseball game or Monday Night Football or you know, NBA on NBC, getting ready for the playoffs to start, something like that. I feel like this commercial came on always during those types of settings. And it's another one of these great, you know, late 80s, early 90s, I think too, jingles with like the real, you know, overly produced sound. It sounds like something you might hear on the radio at the time, which I love. Here we've got a commercial for Gillette, The Best a Man Can Get, from 1989.
You're looking sharp, you're looking good, you've come so far. And we know how to make the most of who you are. Father to son, it's what we've always done. Gillette, the best a man can get. faces, it's plain to see. We give you all we have to give, for all a man can be. Where the race is run, you're the champion. Gillette.
The Gillette Atra Plus system with the Lubra-Smooth strip for the best a man can get.
Yeah, that almost sounds like a Kenny Loggins song out of a movie soundtrack or something. You know, it's just so over the top and epic sounding for a razor commercial. Seriously, you know, a commercial for what we used to shave with. And it sounds and looks like that. You know, just all those moments going by and just the whole production, just so cool, so memorable, wholesome, sentimental, all of it, the whole 9 yards. That's why it's number 4, a little bit of a curveball. But one of my favorite jingles of all time, Gillette, The Best a Man Can Get, from 1989. Let's keep going. So we're sticking at the more like adult commercial for number 3 here on the list. In other words, another one that's not aimed at kids necessarily. But one of my favorite jingles of all time. I've talked about it on the channel before. And as I'm looking at this here, I'm thinking about the den and how I have it decorated, and kind of the feel that I'm going for in here, and how that was not only inspired by TV shows, you know, the sitcom living rooms of our youth, and the movies that we saw, but also some of these commercials and the interior that we see of the homes that are featured in some of these ads. And this is one of the best ever. From 1984, we've got Folgers Mountain Grown Coffee. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Days looking new and bright, and you're gonna start it right. Folgers starting to brew, the aroma's calling you. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Mornings are brighter with Mountain Grown Folgers because Mountain Grown coffee has more enticing aroma than any other kind.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Yeah, that one really takes me back. You know, I would have been really little the first time I heard that, but it's been with me this whole time. And you know, this isn't Folgers in my cup that I have here today, but I kind of wish it was after watching that commercial. So good. That honestly could have been number 1 on the list, but we do have a couple of heavy hitters left to go here in our countdown. But yeah, I love that old Folgers ad. Anyone else? All right, guys, we're almost done. We've made it to number 2 on the list. If you've stuck around this far, I appreciate you guys being here. This is a good one. Now, mostly because of the jingle. Anytime, you know, it always feels nostalgic to me when it's a bunch of kids singing a theme song or singing a jingle of some kind. You know, it almost sounds like you and your buddies when you're 6 years old singing a song at the top of your lungs. That's what it makes me think of. This is a product that we used as a kid. You know, we had these in our house, and a commercial that we did see around Saturday morning cartoons and some of the after school cartoons for sure. From 1988, we've got Flintstones Vitamins. We're Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing. Let's watch.
We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing.
It's a big world, and nobody knows more about helping kids grow into it than Flintstones, with all the vitamins kids need.
We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing. We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong.
Flintstones, America's favorite.
And growing.
Not to sound like a broken record, but come on, how wholesome and nostalgic was that? Seriously. You know, I ate Flintstones vitamins as a kid. Maybe that's why I'm 6'2" now. I don't know. Maybe they did the job. Who knows? But they sure know how to market that product, because here I am sitting on a couch 40 years later talking about these things. So I think that was a really solid choice for number 2, which only leaves us one more spot on the countdown. So let's get to it. Now, this was not an easy choice. there were like 5 or 6 different commercials on this list that could have easily been number one. It's hard when you sit down and think about these things, how to rank them in any kind of special order. I think that's why a lot of the times when you see these types of videos, people will be like, these are in no particular order. But this one definitely had to be number one. I knew it was going to be number one, I think, when I sat down to first make this video. And some of you have probably already guessed it. It's got a similar situation as the last commercial did, where it's kids singing, so you can immediately relate. This one was a couple years earlier, 1986. Now they used this jingle beyond that, and I think even before that maybe a little bit. Or was this the first time we ever heard this song? I don't know. I know they redid it throughout the years with like bringing the kids back and showing them a little bit older. But just such good stuff, such a classic commercial. Any 80s kid knows this song immediately once it starts. We've got at number one, of course, I Don't Want to Grow Up, I'm a Toys R Us Kid.
I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less, you really flip your lid.
From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz!
I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys, oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Wow. Now, I don't really remember Jeffrey being a little bit scary in this commercial. They only showed him for a quick second, but outside of that, just such a classic. You know, I saw Jenny Lewis there at the beginning from, I know her most from The Wizard, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. You've heard me talk about it before, and she's done countless other things since then. But that's what I think of her as when I see Jenny Lewis. I think of The Wizard. I think I even saw Jaleel White in there. Urkel himself, and just what great little kid actors selling us the best toy store ever. Am I right? And one of the most classic and memorable ad campaigns and commercials ever created, in my opinion. That's why it's number one on the list. I Don't Want to Grow Up, I'm a Toys R Us Kid. So let me know in the comments if you agree with some of these choices, or if you would have reordered them, or if you've ever even thought about it. And there we are. So I hope that you all saw something or heard something that sparked a good memory for you today. That's really all I'm going for here. And if it did, consider subscribing if you're new around here. Also, don't forget to like the video, but only if you actually liked the video. But for now, and as always, relax, enjoy life, and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.